And then in terms of the production, I just decided that I wanted to make everything kind of come together, and it made sense for me to do a show featuring not only this commissioned project and me dancing in it, but also her own work and her own dancing. So she'll be performing a piece as well called Accidental Dances. It premiered originally at Older and Reckless, which is a Moonhorse Dance Theatre production. But that was the first part that she created that she had shown there. And then she has gone on now to create 2 other sections for the piece, and using Anne Southern's piano compositions. And so she chose 2 other compositions to extend the piece. And so that's what she's going to be performing. And it's a very beautiful, poetic work, and you really see her soul on stage. She's just really incredible and precise, but very human, and it's beautiful. And so the commissioned piece is called Unspeakable, and this piece has the sense of raw power, and vulnerability sort of mixed together. This woman you see on stage has this wonderful, incredible power, but also a sense of memory and loss and maybe regret, or just being exposed to the audience in a vulnerable way. And beautifully lit, again, by Rebecca Picharak. Very unusual lighting, so it's worth checking out. And then, so third on the program, the whole, how it all came together in one circle to unify it all was a piece that I created on myself. The piece is called Swallowed Hollow, and I first showed the piece at a dance series that I started called Dance Matters in December of 2006, and that initial sort of piece has now been, altered magnificently. And also the original composition, the original music was by Edgardo Moreno for the original piece. And now I've sort of taken it apart and reworked the piece as I discovered what it was really about for me, just by doing it and by looking at it and observing it over time and coming back to it. I then made a decision about the music. No longer did the music fit the piece. It just sort of changed so much. So, and so I worked with Valerie Callum, and she works in collaboration with Vice Versa to make sound design. So she made the sound design for the piece. We talked a lot about the feel of the piece, sort of this wonderful desert type quality to it. But also this really dark, isolated place, sort of like possibly almost that sense of a dark warehouse, isolated basement or something like that. So there's these 2 contrasting realms, I guess, in the piece, and it matches the character and how this woman, this character who's going through all these emotions and states change as she is in the space. She changes her place in the space. Different things happen to her, and she's expressing certain things. So there's like 2 things going on there. Things are happening to her at the same time. She's moving through these states as well. So she's being pulled and she's pulling back at the same time always. There's this sense of lack of restraint at times. She's bursting out, bursting energy, and then there are times when she's sucks it back in, or she gets sucked back into something pulls her back, holds her back from going too far, going to those places, whether it be her own sense of need of composure or fear, or outside voices telling her not to. So there's a lot of different those kinds of things happening in the piece, and so the lighting states reflect those places, those emotional journeys. So there's when it's this isolated place that really work well with the lighting, darker sort of colors and textures, And then when it's sort of more open, deserty, sort of raw, tumbleweed, ghost town-like, she's got other sort of warmer hues and gobos and things like that really going on. It's quite cool. And Val's music is wonderful. It's sort of a collage of different sounds that come together and merge really nicely. I really wanted to work with sort of like a twang, westerny guitar thing, and as well as we worked a little bit of sort of electronic pulses underneath that and some different things, and I'm sure she could probably speak more eloquently about her work that way, but just to give you a little sense of what that is. Yeah, so the show is very focused and sort of, it does require the audience to sort of be drawn in and to think and to wonder and really pay attention to the details. So a lot of the pieces, especially Julia's, both pieces are very specific pauses, details, small shifts of the eyes, things like that. So and matched with sort of very, very explosive movement too. So there's great contrasting things happening, and yeah. So I think it's fun for the audience because you get to see these 3 different characters, these 3 different worlds coming into one space. And it's even though they relate on some level, they're also very different, and they are very clear in terms of their place in their world and their expression, I guess. Yeah, so it's been a wild ride putting it all together. It's been very fun and challenging, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted to have not only the sort of artistic challenges that I was able to have from, rebuilding a piece, to working with Julia, to putting the show together and having the theater come to life as a space that I really imagined or wanted. And so that's all been very, very wonderful.